Hey everybody, in this video I'll show you how to repair a damaged Specialized FutureShock 2.0 unit if the adjustment knob along with the supporting internals break off and you aren't able to make sense of how to reassemble it. So this is a FutureShock 2.0 cartridge that comes on many of the higher end Specialized Diverge, Roubaix, Ruby, and Cirrus models. Now, very briefly, the FutureShock is a proprietary cartridge suspension unit that comes on many road and gravel bikes and offers the rider 20 millimeters of vertical compliance without the need for a dedicated suspension fork. It's designed to soak up small amplitude, high frequency road vibrations and ultimately reduce rider fatigue. Now, presently it's offered in two flavors, the basic 1.5 model and then the upgraded adjustable oil damped 2.0 model with on-the-fly damping adjustment. Now, this particular 2.0 unit was actually sent over by a channel viewer. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Anyways, he told me that it was accidentally broken by his local shop and needed to be replaced. Now, to briefly summarize, in order to swap stems on a bike with the FutureShock 2.0, the top adjustment knob actually needs to be removed. And it sounds like the mechanic had assumed that the cap was a friction fit and needed to be pried off. Now, unfortunately, while the mechanic was successful in removing the adjustment knob, the mechanic also took off the supporting internals with it and wasn't able to reassemble it. Now, I can't really blame the mechanic entirely, as the FutureShock is admittedly a really complex and proprietary system, and I'm also happy to report that the bike shop took full responsibility and ordered Jeff a brand new FutureShock to replace this damaged one. So anyways, the moral of the story, don't pry off the FutureShock 2.0 adjustment knob. It will break off fairly easily. But if you do, or if yours happens to break off for another reason, maybe you crashed your bike or it got dinged in the garage somehow, I'll show you how to put the internals back together so you can get back to riding. So this is how the unit is supposed to look, and here's a shot of the FutureShock unit as I received it. Now, to be absolutely clear, all these parts here should never be removed from the main unit. Now, this here is the adjustment knob, which is removable. In fact, you have to remove it if you want to swap your stem. And it's secured by a little 1.5 millimeter set screw on the side. Now, for clarity, I'll use the following terms to identify the individual pieces so we can all be on the same page. So I'm going to call this the main FutureShock body. This is the damping adjustment screw, which is housed in the main body. This is what I'll call the hub. I'll call this the hex coupler. This is the retaining clip, and finally this is the adjustment knob on the very top. Now, if you do pry the assembled adjustment knob hard enough without first loosening the set screw, what happens is that you actually end up popping the retaining clip out and pulling off the adjustment knob, the hub, and the hex coupler out as one unit. Now, this is definitely not what you want, because without this retaining clip holding in the hex coupler, there's nothing keeping the hub from falling out of the body, which is presumably why the shop determined that this unit was damaged beyond repair. Now, when Jeff first reached out to me about it, we both assumed that it was irreparable, and he only sent me this broken unit so that I could do a quick video on what not to do if you own a FutureShock 2.0. In other words, I wasn't actually anticipating that I'd be able to fix it. But upon closer inspection, I noticed this channel on the inside of the main body, which looked like it could take a C-clip or a retaining clip. So then, after inspecting the pieces in closer detail, I actually lucked out and discovered that the retaining clip was still stuck to the face of the hex coupler. So now, to reassemble all the pieces, it should go hex coupler into the damping adjustment screw on the main body. Then the retaining clip should be clipped in to hold the coupler in place. Now, this is a little bit tricky just because it's so small and the clip doesn't have holes at the ends like a typical C-clip, which means you can't use snap ring pliers to install it. Now, this also kind of suggests that this unit is never meant to be disassembled, since the only way to remove the retaining clip is by brute force. Now, once you do get the retainer clip fully seated, the hub will then slide onto the hex coupler, and it's secured by another small screw from the top side. And then the main adjustment knob will attach to the hub via the 1.5 millimeter set screw on the side. You just want to make sure to align the set screw along the flattened section of the hub. Now, the one thing that I believe is missing here is some type of tiny plastic ball or shim that would engage these divots in the main body and create the distinct clicks of the 2.0 adjustment knob. So while this particular unit is mostly repaired and once again fully functional, it's actually the world's first infinitely adjustable FutureShock 2.0 with no distinct clicks. We'll call it the FutureShock 2.5, or maybe Specialized could call it the FutureShock Infinity and charge us more money. You're welcome, Specialized. Now, I'll have another video out real soon directly comparing the FutureShock 1.5 to the 2.0 including the dimensions and the weights, since I've now got one of each, and it'll demonstrate that you can actually swap from the 1.5 to the 2.0 unit. Spoiler, yes, they are compatible, and you can upgrade from 1.5 to 2.0 if you wish. So that'll wrap up this quick video on how to repair a FutureShock 2.0 unit if the retainer clip and all the supporting internal bits fall out. Once again, I'd like to give a shout out to Jeff, who generously donated this unit to the channel in the name of science and informing others of this potential issue with the FutureShock 2.0. I've got his information down in the description if you want to personally reach out and give him a thank you. As always, thanks for watching, and thanks again for subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.